And that makes me think I'd like to go delve a little bit deeper into the idea of testing. Do you all, as IL engineers, TDD, and how often?
It's my preferred. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for us, that's our default way of working. I mean, just writing. We think, what's the design of this? Oh, well, let's just write a test, right? So we have a whiteboard image of what we've talked about. We always do some sort of whiteboarding, and then okay, well, then we do some discovery tree of things that we need to do. Yeah, there you go. And then we delve into, okay, well, let's, what are we trying to prove? Well, let's write a test. Right. So we're always starting from the perspective of what's the expected outcome, and we write a test to prove it. Right. So when we talk about red green refactor, we really are doing that. And I wouldn't say we're zealots, but it's really our default way of working. Sometimes we won't write a test, but anytime there's business logic to it involved, we will definitely have a test for it.
Wyatt, I think one of the most confusing things about test-driven development to developers and teams that don't practice it is that the code that gets produced by test-driven development it looks completely different from code that wasn't built with it, and it's hard to see how you could test drive your code when all you've ever seen is code that's not been built using test-driven development. There's an architecture as a prerequisite. You have to have sort of a separation between what you identified business logic code and like your plumbing code that interacts with third-party libraries and frameworks and things like that. And that doesn't naturally occur unless you've done it on purpose and or use test-driven development. So I've found that I've tried to test drive code where it's all mixed together, which is most code out there in my experience, but it doesn't make any sense. And so we tend to, sorry, go ahead.
No, finish, please.
I was just going to say, so we tend to, as people who practice TDD, we tend to forget, I think, there's that prerequisite in there, and we assume that it's there. And so we might have conversations about TDD with people who don't see it that way, who don't understand how code could behave that way, or could be isolated and tested in that way.
So there's something that I've seen when people say, "Yeah, I do test first," but it's not test first. It's writing unit tests afterwards, and that code it has coverage, but the code tends to be really snarly, right, and difficult to follow because they've cobbled on some making methods much longer and so on and so forth. So yeah, when we talk about TDD and test first, I think it's really important for everyone to understand that test first really does mean I'm writing a test first, not that I'm writing a test to create coverage. Because I've worked with many teams and they go, yeah, we do test first. And then I'm pairing with them or in the mob, and no one is writing a test first. Everyone's implementing, and then they have a story. They're going to create the test, right? So test first.